Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Nitro Racing League here on NASCAR Heat 4. It's been a little bit since we've had the Nitro Racing League. I missed a couple races, and then the race last week I was sick for, so I couldn't, or I didn't want to be there. But today we go to Pocono Raceway where I qualified P10, not a good qualifying effort. One driver did miss out in the Go Homer qualifiers. I don't remember who it was, but either way we will get ready to go green from the 10th starting position, running a little bit of a different paint scheme here this weekend for the 11 car here. As you can see, I was running the throwback Denny Hamlin ran at Darlington, I think it was last season. So we started, like I said, P10. This is a 65 lap race to kind of give you guys the information here. Basically, stage 1 is 15 laps. So stage 1 ends once we cross the line to start lap 16. Stage 2 ends once we cross the line to hit lap 31. And then the race ends once we cross the line, completing lap 65, hitting lap 66. To give you guys an insight, there's as always it says 160 laps because we just have extra laps added in case of overtime being needed here in the league. So we do not do the whole race. There's been confusion in the past about that, of people asking why we didn't do the whole race or why I didn't show the whole race, but actually I have showed the whole race there, as there was like a little bit of a lag issue there with the 17 as you went down into turn 3, it looked like. But either way, up to P8 on this opening lap, but certainly took me a minute to kind of get used to the track here in Pocono. We went here pretty recently in career mode now as it came to, and down into turns 1 on lap 2, going up the inside of Smoke in the 2, and then the number 9. We had climbed our way up now to P7 here on the second lap, just behind our teammate of Matt, aka Karma. Now as it came out of turn 3 on the end of lap 2, the 14 and the 42 kind of got together a little bit there on the exit of turns 3, so we pounced on the opportunity. We're going to go between the 14 and the 42 and whatnot, past the 14, and then we'll get past Christian there in the 42 car. So we climbed up to P5 just behind our teammate of Matt. Then I get hit by the 9 in the bumper, and then I obviously couldn't get the car slowed down from that, and I just slammed into the back of my teammate of Matt because of that, and that certainly messed him up a little bit there, as that put him quite a ways behind. But we would run down the next group of cars of Matt Chaffee in the 10, and then the 19, our other teammate of Andrew in the 19, and we got in a battle with these guys. The 31, he had driven away at this point there, as we were, like I said, getting into this battle here with Andrew and Matt Chaffee and whatnot as we went down this first back straightaway, climbing up for the moment at least into P2 as you went down towards this tunnel turn. I had struggled in the tunnel turn, especially in stage 1. You can see everyone was kind of going under that yellow line, which was catching me off guard, as I'm not used to driving the tunnel turn like that, but everyone was doing it, so that was something I had to kind of get down before this race ended if I really wanted to be competitive through there. But we would continue battling here with Andrew there, as we were getting pretty tight there, as I actually got out of the throttle, and then the 40 would get to my left-hand side, and I screwed up the tunnel turn at this point here, as we were actually getting ready for some green flag pit stops. A bunch of cars that had already come to the pit lane, kind of forcing the rest of the field's hand. Now as I was trying to get to that inside lane there, just in front of the 4 of Cameron behind me as you went down into turn 3, the 40 car of Sports Guy up here in the mix now as we come through turn 3. Everyone was pretty much getting ready to come into the pit lane at this point, except for the 40 car. So Andrew comes in, Matt Chaffee, myself, Cameron just behind us. The leader, I think, may have come in before us or something like that, but we came out of the pit lane with, this was the first and worst pit stop of our day. 16.7 seconds for 4 tires and 2 cans of fuel. So not the pit stop we wanted, and obviously that would set me back a little bit now here with the strategy as we were exiting, heading down into turns 1. You can see Matt just behind me in the 20, as there's so many Matts in this league, as you guys probably are aware by now as we came through out of turns 1. So like I said, stage 1 ends when we hit lap 16. So at this point there was only about 7 laps to go. Now as Matt would get to my inside at my left rear as we went down towards the tunnel turn, I really wasn't in much of a battling mood here in stage 1, as there wasn't really much of a need to battle with anyone, so I just kind of let Matt go there. So we now come to the final lap here of this first stage on lap 15. It was still the 31 leading at this point, as we were only in P7 there, as we were now pushing Karma at this point. We had run down the 4 of Cameron once again, who had been able to overtake me with the whole pit strategy thing and a bad pit stop, but we got to the inside of him going down this first back straightaway. Obviously only the top 5 get points here in the stages, and we're obviously within a car length or so of 5th place, who belongs to Matt as we go down to the tunnel turn. Still at this point, wasn't cutting under that yellow line, and it was costing me quite a bit. Now as it came through, nearly getting into the wall there on the exit of the tunnel turn, that gives Cameron a nice little advantage or a boost of momentum as we went down into turns 3 on this final lap. It was the 31 car who would easily come through to win stage 1. No one was even near him in that first stage, so I thought very early on he was going to be very hard to beat. Now as it came through out of turns 3, getting cleared by the 4 of Cameron as we came through across the line. It was fairly disappointing P7 here in stage 1, but obviously we would come to the pit lane at the end of this first stage to take 2 cans of fuel, get 4 tires in the car. I thought about adjusting the car a little bit at the end of the stages. It felt a little bit tight, so either way though, we would get going for the second stage here from P7, so we came out just where we came in, and it certainly wasn't a great restart for myself here. As you can see, a good gap between myself and the 4 of Cameron as he went down towards turns 1. But the 31 out front here at this point now as he goes leading into the corner. Andrew up in second, Matt, 2 Matts, 3rd and 4th, Chaffee in 4th in the 10, and then out of turns 1, it's Matt in the P3, Karma. Matt now, as there's so many Matts to deal with here. There used to be more, but then one of the guys actually left the league now as he came through turns 1 behind the 14. At this point though, Karma had taken the lead as we went down this first back straightaway. Andrew still in P2 as we were side by side with Matt Chaffee now as we went down towards the tunnel turn. So now up to P6 as we went down towards the tunnel turn. This is where I finally started to realize I really needed to get under that yellow line. I think that was the first time I had tried it all race. Did not go the way I wanted it to, but we still gained some time. We got up to P4 out of that little mess there. Now as you saw, the 4 of Cameron dropped quite a ways back. Now as it came through on lap 20, closing in on the top 3 cars of the 31. Karma in the 20, Andrew leading the way, and then Andrew actually had a bit of a leg spike, and that would slow up the 20 and the 31, so I'm just going to casually go through here on the right side, and we would take over P2. We would run down Andrew as we went down towards turns 1 now on lap 23. Karma in the 20 had actually gotten back up to us, but then Andrew actually got down on the apron there, and he went around with help from my front bumper, of course, now as that would end up bringing out a caution here in Pocono as we actually got going, and it didn't think there was going to be a caution at first, but then like someone else or something got collected in the mess, and then we went for the yellow. But we came to the pit lane, came out P2 as the 9 I think stayed out if I remember correctly, so we would get back going now from the 2nd position, and I had a really good restart. You can see we were pretty much dead even with the 9 cars. Obviously guys should be aware now we do have manual restarts. We don't rely on the game to do caution stuff for us. Now let's go down into turns 1 side by side with the 9 now as he doesn't have a very great turns 1. You saw him clip the apron a little bit, and then I go a little bit wide on the exit of turns 1, and now we're going to be side by side here. Christian in, then we would actually get a caution again here. So we had taken the lead though before that yellow came out, so now we were leading for the restart here on lap 25. The caution or the stage end caution would come out once we hit lap 31, so obviously just a handful of laps to go in the 2nd stage. At this point, as the 2 car of smoke would go flying by, pulling a Kyle Busch as he went down into turns 1, and then he actually got on the apron, and then up the track he went, and that completely destroyed his momentum as we nearly get into him on the exit of turns 1, so we would actually take the lead, and after we took the lead, we would be able to hold on to it pretty well here on this opening lap. There's you saw, I think that was Jay, who got turned into the inside wall head on as we went down into this tunnel turn, finally starting to, like I said, get it down that I need to cut down under that yellow line in that tunnel turn. But like I said, we just kind of were able to hold our own after we took the lead here in Pocono, and we would take off now as it came through a little bit later, of 1.3 seconds ahead of our teammate of Andrew at this point. This was now on the final lap of the 2nd stage, so we're looking to get another playoff point and another stage victory as we come through out of the tunnel turn. Andrew closes in just a tiny bit, then loses some ground as he was battling with Cameron and then Emright in the 14 as well as we go down into turns 3 for the final time here in stage 2. I think it's been a little bit since we've actually won a stage and gotten any playoff points. So we exit turns 3 though, heading down this run straight away. We're going to come through to win the 2nd stage here in Pocono, quite a ways ahead of everyone else who just kind of got all caught up together battling it away, and that allowed me to pull away from everyone, obviously. So once again, we would pit for 4 tires, 2 cans of fuel, and get ready to go green here for this 3rd and final stage. The race ends once we hit lap 66 in regulation. Obviously, there's still a chance of overtime. The 14 actually got a better launch than I did on this opening restart here for the 3rd and final stage, but we had help from Cameron from behind, and that would propel us back out into the lead position as we go down into turns 1 here. I think this is the first time I've controlled a restart in this race, and certainly turn 1 did not go like I wanted it to. Hitting the apron once, going wide on the exit. The 14 gives me a shove to the bumper, which was very well needed now to keep my pace up now as we're side by side with Cameron down this back straightaway. And then you got the 42 of Christian getting into the mix as well as I go down into the tunnel turn, and I completely mess it up, and that allows the 42 to get clear, the 4 car to get clear. He hits the wall, and now we're 3 wide with the 14 and the 20 for a moment. Now we're still going to be side by side with the 14 as we go down into turns 3, and it's Christian out front leading the way now as we come through turn 3. I kind of pinched down the 14 a little bit there in turn 3, more than I probably should have and more than I even wanted to, but we would come out of there with the second position as we would close right up on the back of Christian, and everyone behind us was just kind of in that battle mode. And then myself and Christian, at first I just decided to kind of push him out a little bit here as we went down into turns 1. I didn't really want anyone to be battling us at this point. Now as we come through turns 1 though, he goes wide, so obviously I hop on the opportunity and look to the inside as we go down this back straightaway side by side for the lead here with Christian in this third and final stage. We would clear him down this first back straightaway heading down towards the tunnel turn, but the very next lap going into the tunnel turn, Christian would make a move up the inside and be able to pounce on the opportunity. The draft was really big here in Pocono, as it is pretty much at every track now. That's not like a short track or a road course, because you can definitely be faster than someone, but that draft can just keep them in the picture the whole time. On lap 36 now, the end of lap 36, hitting lap 37, back to the inside of Christian as we continued to battle it out with each other as we went down towards turns 1. Obviously quite a ways to go, as I actually let off the throttle, seeing that there was a car exiting the pit lane, and I thought we were going to close in way quicker than we actually did. And then Christian, he actually goes wide again in turns 1, so obviously I pounce on the opportunity again and get to his inside as we go down this first back straightaway, trying to take that lead from him and hope to have a chance to just pull away now as we go all the way under the yellow line at this point, as we were just kind of messing around being out front here as we both slowed down for each other going down into the tunnel turn, thinking who's going to back out, and both of us backed out, and that would back us right up to the third place car of Cameron in the 4, who would get into the mixes. We're still side by side with Christian going down into turns 3. So now 3 cars in the battle for the lead as we kind of got pinched down there by Christian doing what he can to try and hang on to the lead as we get a bit of a shove there from the 4 of the Cameron. It was now as we went down this front straightaway, trying my best to clear the 42, just couldn't quite do it as we went down towards turns 1. Now as you can see up ahead, that was actually MJ in the 3, as we would actually get a caution as we went down into turns 1 due to an incident from behind. So once again though, we would come to the pit lane and whatnot, get back going here as we did control the restart. This time it was Matt in the 20 who had been up on this front row with us. Now only 26 laps to go at this point, as Matt goes a little bit wide, and that would obviously allow me to pull ahead just a little bit here down at this first back straightaway. Christian just behind me in the 3rd place now as we nearly get clear of Matt. We do get clear of Matt as we go down into that tunnel turn now as we come through down under that yellow line here, and don't get through there great, but it did work out. And sure enough, later on, we had actually, or as the run went on, we had pulled away once again from the field, and then a caution would come out again here with just 20 laps to go, so obviously this would bring the field back together. So we've been able to pull away here, and it really seems like if you were just kind of out front, you had quite the big advantage, especially if, well, the biggest thing was if you could break that draft. If you could break that draft, then you were at a huge advantage because everyone behind you is just going to be battling. And then obviously there is one downside. Obviously the cars behind you can still draft together and run you down. But certainly if you could break that draft as a leader, you were certainly in good shape. And once again, here we came through on lap 55. We had pulled away once again. We had some cars starting to think about the whole green flag pit stop situation. I was now 3 seconds ahead of Andrew, who had finally worked his way back through the field and climbed his way up to P2. But like I said, we had to think about the green flag pit stops, and sure enough, obviously approaching just 10 laps to go at the line, it was getting ready to happen. I wanted to come in with about 5 laps to go. That's pretty much as far as we could stretch the field in this car too, so that's kind of where I was trying to get, and it didn't quite work out. Now as there was cars up ahead of me that had now come into the pit lane. I think Matt had, in the 20 had already come in, a bunch of drivers had come in, so here with 10 laps to go, approaching 9 to go, I decided it was time to come into the pit lane. I played it really cautious because I knew I had a 3-second lead or so I didn't really want to risk speeding into the pit lane and make a really silly mistake and lose the race because of that. I was certainly expecting a caution to come out here in the final 10 laps, and that was kind of my biggest fear, but we had a very decent pit stop, 15.5, so definitely a solid pit stop. Not great, but not bad either. So we would come out of the pit lane in P4, and there were P3 at the moment, and obviously the 2 cars in front of us, the 14 and the 3, they still had to come into the pit lane. I think they were just trying to hope for a caution, or maybe even try and save fuel to stretch it to the end, but obviously that just wasn't really going to happen. So we had the gap built up over the cars behind us of Andrew and whatnot, so at this point it was just waiting on the 14 and the 3 to come into the pit lane. Sure enough, they did on lap 60 now. We would retake the lead, and this would leave us with 6 laps to go here in Pocono, and obviously just hoping at this point no caution would come out. I was scared the guys behind me were going to work together, but they actually battled each other quite a bit, so we come through with just a handful of laps to go, still leading, and it would continue this way here in the final laps, just like I said, hoping no caution would come out. Sure enough, we take the white flag here in Pocono, and obviously the next flag ends the race, hoping that at this point I just don't make a mistake and crash. I don't think we have been taken out once in this race, so that's certainly a plus, certainly quite a bit different from the last race we did at Gateway, which was a complete disaster. Definitely a lot of frustration in the last Nitro race that we did, so nice to come back with a little bit of redemption here with about a 5.5 second lead or so over Andrew, who had actually made quite a big mistake, I think, coming to the white flag or in turns 1 on the white or something like that, as he was, I think, about 3 seconds behind me, and he was certainly just as fast as I was. So if Andrew had not been stuck in traffic, I think it would have been right down to me and him, because like I said, both of us were pretty even on speed throughout the whole run. So we kind of got lucky that he got stuck in traffic, and we would sure enough come out of turns 3. 3 wins on the season, the most recent coming at Dover a handful of races ago, but now we will return to victory lane with win number 4 on the season here in Pocono now as we cross the line. So definitely a dominant kind of last stage for us. Definitely happy with the results there. So certainly couldn't have asked for a better one. We did almost maybe were able to sweep all 3 stages. Would have been nice. Obviously we got stage 2, stage 3 with the victory, race victory. So we did get, I think, 6 playoff points or something like that. I'm not sure how many playoff points are awarded for a win in this league, to be completely honest with you. It might be 3, it might be 5. I'm not sure. It doesn't really matter to me because we're locked in the playoffs, obviously, from winning earlier in the season, so I'm not too concerned. But I'll show you guys the point standings here before we end this episode now, as we do our burnouts, or our celebratory burnouts now. So a great result for us here today. Hope you guys did enjoy that one. Now, as there you see the point standings, we had to obviously missed a few races, so we dropped down to 2nd in the points. Andrew leads the points with 2 wins. Matt, so we got 4. Oh, JGR cars are locked in, and hopefully Jay, our affiliate, can get in, but you can pause it there, look at the standings. But either way, I will see you guys in the next one. So thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch this Nitro race, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great day, everybody.